Greetings from Tokyo. This is Daisuke, and I hope all of you are doing very well today. Continuing with my discussion of the films of the director, the Italian maestro, Dario Argento. This is a film from 2009. The film I am about to talk about is Giallo. Bare bones Blu-ray from Europe of this film, Giallo, and this film stars Adrien Brody, of course, and he is he is a driven detective, and he's trying to find a killer who is kidnapping and killing women, and there is one kidnapped victim, and it's up to him and the victim's sister to get on the trail and find the killer who has some relationship or who has some connection or who is known as or is otherwise thematically linked with this concept of Giallo. Okay, my friends, so I'm going to be talking about spoilers and details about this film. So if you are wary of being spoiled by this film, not having seen it, then please stop this video and watch the film and come back. And we can always talk about the film at your pace and leisure. And once you've seen the film, we can discuss this this film from Argento called Giallo. Okay, so you're back. So you don't mind me spoiling the film. Okay, I don't like this film at all. I actually am very frustrated in a negative way by this film. I find it to be a very disappointing, incredibly disappointing film. This is probably going to be the worst film on my Dario Argento rankings, and I am saying that knowing that I'm going to be talking about Dracula, and I know the feelings that people have about Dracula, and I will be talking about that next. So be that as it may, Giallo is it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Now, again, I love Dario Argento films, and I love his style. And so it pains me to say that I hate a film that was directed by Dario Argento. But I do hate this film. And I hate this film, and maybe hate's such a strong word. I'll take that back. I don't hate the film. I find the film to be very disappointing, incredibly disappointing. And I'll tell you why. The film is marketed as being a film directed by Dario Argento. And so it's called Giallo. The film is called Giallo, directed by Dario Argento. So immediately, that gets that stirs one, right? That makes one excited, because it means, or it suggests, or it signifies that the great master of Italian Giallo is going to make another Giallo, because he is going to direct a film that is called Giallo, right? This is not a Giallo film. This is not a Giallo film. A Giallo film, this is not. This is a this is just a film, a serial killer film. That's it. It's a serial killer film. And I think it's a serial killer film with torture film elements in it. And that's it. That's it. It is not a Giallo film. There is no mystery element. There is no kind of Agatha Christie style a cast of characters where you can pick from. There is some of that, I should say. There is some of that hinted at, and it's teased by the fact that the killer and the main detective are played by the same actor, Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody has dual, right? He plays doubles. He has two roles in this film, I think, right? So he plays the killer and he plays the detective, right? And there were sort of hints of that possibility when this film was first released, right? Because Adrian Brody's name, I think it was his name, was used as an anagram in another way, and it was spelled differently with respect to the killer. So there were some hints, perhaps, that maybe the killer and Adrian Brody were the same. And so that made for an interesting approach, right? Because it meant that perhaps if they're the same, maybe that means that the detective is the killer. Wow, that would be an interesting concept. That would be an interesting concept. So maybe the killer and the detective are one and the same character. If that's the case, then that would have been a very interesting concept to follow through, right? And so I think that would have satisfied the Giallo lust in me, so to speak. But does the film do that? No, it doesn't do that at all. In fact, what it does is it teases you for the first, let's say, third, in lulling you into that possibility, but then it dashes all hopes, and it just says to you around the middle of the film, due to its very peculiar way of overly showing its hand through its editing, it just tells you that no, these are two separate characters. They happen to be played by the same actor, but they are two separate characters. I can't tell you how disappointing that reveal was. And it was disappointing because that meant that the very last hope of this film turning into Giallo was destroyed forever, right? Because had that concept of the killer and the detective being the same character, had that concept held, that would have made, I think, for a potentially interesting Giallo thriller. Because it would have been, you would have had to have guessed who the killer was. Maybe it would have been maybe a not so difficult guess, granted, but it would have been a guess all the same. So it's like picking who the killer is out of a list of suspects from an Agatha Christie novel. No, you don't get that. You just get the detective, and you get the killer, and you get the detective hunting the killer, and the whole thing about Giallo and the yellow and all that stuff, and he's sick and he's in the hospital and all that. That's it. It's just a detective hunting the killer. That's it. And so therefore it's not a Giallo. It is simply a serial killer film. And so I can't tell you how disappointing that is for me, because it is this film is basically a marketing. It's just a marketing trick. It just it basically I was a fool. I fell for it. And it was just Dario Argento directing a film called Giallo that wasn't a Giallo. Okay, so that makes me very frustrated. That makes me very frustrated because the film, you are basically toying with me, right? You are wasting my time as a viewer, okay? Because I have high hopes. I want to give my time to the film, right? And a lot of aspects of the film are ways of showing us, the viewers, what the film is about. Giallo, Dario Argento. It should have been a Giallo film, therefore. But this is not a Giallo film, and therefore, basically the whole premise of the film is that it's something that it is not marketed as being. So, or it is marketed as being a film that it is not, in essence. Let me put it that way. So that makes me very frustrated as a viewer, because it means that you tricked me. The film tricked me, and it basically wasted my time. And so I watched it again for purposes of this video, and I felt equally as frustrated by the film, and somewhat angered by it, actually, because it was a really deceptive thing, I think, for this to do, and I was very disappointed. And so this is, for me, the worst film directed by Dario Argento. And I must say that I want to give Dario Argento as the benefit of the doubt here, because I know that there are some issues with respect to the production. I know that there are some issues with respect to the production and Adrian Brody, and I understand that Dario Argento himself, he has said in interviews, or it has been reported that he has said in interviews that he doesn't like the final product. And if that is really the case, then perhaps this could be seen, therefore, as an unfortunate situation of a director for hire coming in and not being as influential with the production or producers as he would have otherwise liked to have been. So if that's the case, then I think that's fine. And again, as I say, my dislike for the film here doesn't mean that I dislike Argento. It doesn't mean that my feelings about his earlier films have lessened. On the contrary, I still love Argento's work. I still admire him as a filmmaker and as an artist, still so much. And even now, I would just be so happy if I saw another new Dario Argento film. If I could see another new Dario Argento film in the future, I would be so over the moon. I would love it. Of course, once I see it, then I have to judge the film on its merits, and that would be a separate discussion. But just the act of Dario Argento making another film again would be so great. And I, for one, would support that wholeheartedly. And hopefully his new film will come very soon. I'm not sure what the situation is, but who knows? Hopefully it'll come very soon. But so be that as it may, this film is for me an utter disappointment. And I'm disappointed more so by the fact that it tricked me. Right? It tricked me into believing something that ultimately it wasn't. And so it failed to live up to its promise of being a giallo. So with that, I don't really appreciate that. I don't appreciate that as a viewer because, I pay money and I try to watch films, and I try to give as much benefit of the doubt to the filmmakers and to the people behind the film as possible. But that means that you really just give me something. Okay, just give me something. I want to like your stuff. I want to like it. I want to support it as much as possible. But in return, you don't have to give me a masterpiece, but just don't lie to me, right? Don't lie to me, and don't say that. Don't give me all the stuff that suggests that the film is something that it ends up not being. Okay, and so that's all I ask. That's all I ask. So, it doesn't have to be the great masterpiece Giallo film, but it just has to be something that is a Giallo film because it's called Giallo. Okay. So, I know that there's the stuff about, there's this thing about, Giallo and yellow and the whole thing about him being sick and the whole thing, his skin is yellow. Okay, so therefore, that doesn't mean that it has to be a Giallo thriller. I don't buy it. I don't buy that argument at all. I don't buy that argument at all because this film was called Giallo. Okay. So that's it. I'm not going to talk about this film anymore. So if you want to watch the film, you can, but I don't recommend it at all. And I don't think you should spend your time watching this film because it is not a good one. If you're curious about the film, if you want to be completist with Argento's work, I think that's fine. But that's your choice, and you can, of course, you're free to spend your time in any way you wish. So there you go. If you have any comments or questions about this film, please let me know. I'd be very happy to hear them. But maybe I'm not going to be as enthusiastic about this film as with others. So I really don't know what to say. Again, I as you know, or as I hope you know, I really try to give each film as much due as possible. I really do. I really try to like everything that I see, even just stuff that is just like trash. Like trash. I really try to give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, but this is something that I cannot stomach. I can't stomach because it feels like I've been lied to. So I don't like that. So, I won't talk about this film anymore. So that's Giallo. Anyway, my friends, I'm a little bit flustered, so I will go. And I hope all of you are well. And please have a great rest of your day. Cheers.